United States, one of the most quote unquote most powerful positions in the world. Okay, the world used.
How's everybody doing? Clifton right here, Brandon. You know what? This show today that I'm doing this podcast, and you know what, man, people with the heavy response about Sanctuary City. But before we start give you a synopsis, what we're going to do is we're going to briefly talk about Mr. Kirk that got Charlie Kirk that got killed. Okay, so there will be violence for individuals that have different opinions, views. Okay, and secondly, we're going to talk about Sanctuary City. This is a big issue in Chicago. You know, I live in the Chicago area. I live in Chicago. And not only will this their precedence for what will be happening in New York and California. Also, these are the issues and the national guards. And you know what? But I'm going to start out with to come in.
No, but again, the situation, if you're trying to protect your citizens, and you got all these people flooding in here and bringing all these diseases and germs with them.
Yeah.
So if you don't treat them, guess who's going to get it next? Then you're going to have epidemic, because we've seen now the rise of measles is back. I mean, who's had a case of measles in how many years? Because they unvaccinated them, whatever. You had a couple of the kids die from it that came over with their parents. And that's a horrible death for a kid, whatever, you know, it probably couldn't get any medical attention. I've seen, because I go to Cook County for my health insurance, and I walked into the billing department to discuss something, and the room was packed. I didn't know. Honestly, didn't know that the governor had given, this was on the governor's level. I didn't know he had given them health care free. But I can't, you know, okay, so he cut it off. Or, you know, because of everything that's going on, his purse strings have been kind of pulled a little tighter. He had to eliminate that. You know, they took the COVID money, and, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, COVID didn't exist, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
A lot of money left over, surplus, and they kind of took that. And, you know, because I got some friends I had this discussion with. I said, I don't care how long are you going to harp on the taxes.
Okay.
Your tax dollars went to take care of illegal immigrants. Okay.
Yes. And you know, I'm going to play a video, and let me say for the people that just can't see this, this is in Chicago, and there is someone in Mega, okay, and they wife on a red hat, and what they're saying to the mayor of Chicago. Oh, let me get to that. I'm going to play that, and then I want the guests to respond to this.
Get rid of the illegals, and that'll take your money right back.
You're a criminal. Why do I got to address you? The feds need to address you. DOJ need to address you, and hopefully Donald Trump will address you, because you're going to protect the undocumented while you're going to allow for the citizens in Chicago to suffer.
Y'all, come on. You leave that loser where he is. He's a loser. He's a loser.
And, you know,
now, isn't that funny?
I would like, you know, what they're saying is, they're in City Hall. Okay, you know, you can talk, and they're wearing red hats. They're saying this is wrong for capital that has been allocated for U.S. citizens to be given a. Are these people that are mega, these Republicans, are they wrong? Or
are they megas too?
Yeah, are they wrong?
Yeah, but they need to get themselves in check. And for the young man that said you're a criminal, and Donald Trump is a criminal. He's a convicted felon. What is he talking about? What, you know, dude. But we'll see how this pans out as far as African Americans supporting a man that can give two flies about us, want to strip everything that we have, our history, our everything. He want us to rewrite the books. He's doing the fastest thing to go and tell us what we can have in our African American museums. But going back to the clip of them being in City Hall, I had a talk with, I was online. I know you don't like the brother. I mentioned him to you, who I kind of follow on social media.
You say Mays Jackson. He comes on WGBX. I don't know what time though.
Yeah, I just followed him on Facebook, and a young lady was on there, was like, well, when it comes to the mayor, I've got a conversation with surrounded by. I say he doesn't get credit for the good things he do. It's just always highlighted the bad things he do. Mm-hmm. So she says she want to know why the African American teacher population is down, and she want him to fix it. I said, you want him to fix something that?
But how could you come to his rescue?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. I'm sorry.
Just like come on. We tend to. And she said, yeah, the bar is set so low, so when a black is running for office, she raises the bar up very high for them. I'm like, that don't make no sense. Raise the bar for everybody. Yes. Rahm Emanuel closed 50 schools in our community, which put all them teachers out of a job. But now you want Brandon Johnson to come and fix it.
It's just not true that enrollment. I looked at the reports today that enrollment is down in the Chicago area.
Oh yeah, now I'm talking about when we was in office when he did it, and they said some of those schools were low enrollment. Mm-hmm. You should have talked with the community. You had to close 50 of them. And then the black teachers that mostly employed black teachers, what was done by their late president, she went down to Springfield and gave away the main artery of any union contract, which is seniority.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She gave that away. And so those teachers couldn't bump the white teachers, or they couldn't go to the north side or where the schools that were not armed but had people in positions with less time as a teacher. Mm-hmm. And she wants this man to fix it. I'm like, girl, go on. But I don't see us turning red, even though, like I said, the woman carried herself as a Democrat. I don't believe she was the new Cook County State's attorney. Mm-hmm. But I voted for her over the black man because I saw a continuance of what we're seeing in our neighborhood that was going to continue. People getting put back out on the street with an ankle bracelet on and doing more harm to our community.
Yes.
And that was all at and thank God the other day, Anthony Hood. Okay. The other day, Timothy Evans lost his chief judge position. And that's good because he was spearheading all that, telling the judges to get these people EM and, closing the juvenile detention facility to where it's like no, and these juveniles, they need to be in there because you don't correct them. But, I voted for her.
You voted for her, and also I voted for Mayor Johnson, and I would like to play. I don't think, when we talk about Mayor Johnson and we talk about Sanctuary City, first of all, he is not the individual that implemented Sanctuary City for individuals that know about politics. But I think that he has the influence. I think that he has the influence to bring it to the floor and have a vote to participate out to rid Sanctuary City. But I want to I'm going to play an excerpt and first of all get your opinion about Mayor Johnson and Mayor Chicago, and we could talk about Pritzker too in regards to the issue of Sanctuary City. Okay, and I want to thank. There's a lot of people that are watching this on YouTube and other social media networks. I appreciate it. Okay, so let me play this.
But how could you come to his rescue when he was up here okay with flooding the black communities in Chicago with illegal immigrants? Taking money from the black communities to give it to illegal immigrants. Now when Brandon Johnson is going to need black people to support him, he's don't have the support. And that's what you black politicians do every single time. You sit up here, you do the bidding of these silly Democrats, and then they leave you out to dry when the other side of white supremacy tries to come attack you. The Democrats don't do nothing but leave you out there high and dry. But how could you come?
Which you know, I don't know if you heard that, but what is your assessment of Mayor Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, for not bringing this to a vote and allowing resources to be given to people that they have not earned those resources? What is your opinion of the mayor anyway?
You know, I'm a supporter of his. I'm a supporter of him. I'll be supporting his reelection. In fact, get out there and do some work for him. Okay. Because I know this is a sticking point. This is the only sticking point that seems to be at the forefront. There's other things that's going on in the city that, you know, he's addressing or trying to. I don't like the way our community kind of just gets on this one issue and want to like beating a dead horse. It's like, okay, they stripped back a lot of the stuff. We couldn't send them, you know, some people are like, why don't you just send them back? But I support them. I mean, I just support them. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Lightfoot. And I thought she was good. I was surprised when he jumped in the race and was able to do it. And they said that was the North Shore, that was the progressive vote. I don't know if that's true or not, but when he got in there, you know, I had to say, okay, I'm gonna ride with you. And I haven't seen anything that he's done that's been really that detrimental to our city, you know, other than, you know, he was faced with a situation, that a lot in this lifetime, no other mayor has had this thrusted upon them, even though the sanctuary city status came way back, I believe, in the Harold Washington era. For whatever reason, I decided to do that. I don't know. I probably have to do a little research, but it's here. I look at how the people are turning out in protest. Somebody wants it to stay. It's not everybody that's against it and want this and that. So, yeah, you know, I just follow it. Like I told him, I said, he's done some things in regards, you know, I'm a very pro-union person, having been an organizer with a major union here. And when you can go and get a contract, because I know those are hard things to do.
Yes.
And then, you know, the negative talk came of that. Oh, it's the teachers. Well, the teachers are the one that's teaching our kids. So don't you?
Oh, sister, come on. This is a man that was, first of all, you let me read this in the chat room, okay? Mr. Anthony Hood said, good day, brother. And to you, you said, good day, sister.
How you doing, Mr.
And he's saying something yes to what you said. But go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
You say you voted for him. So, you know, what changed your opinion? Was it just because of the immigrant?
I mean, what I don't like is that being conservative, he first of all, he lied. All politicians lie and said that he was not going to raise the property taxes. He said this, okay? He was not, and he has not, only because his hand was forced. So he lied, okay? And I think he's a one-time mayor. Why do you think he's not a one-time mayor?
Well, first of all, when people are running for office, you listen to what they say. You listen to it. But you have to take everything with a grain of salt. First of all, you don't know what the budget or what the city's financial situation looks like because you're not in office. You don't have privy to that information. A lot of people have said they weren't going to raise it and turn around and said, you know what, we have to pull us out of this, that, da. Okay. But, you know, again, because I am a homeowner, and so I get affected by that. But again, I don't put a lot of, that's just not going to be the determining factor on me. I like him, well spoken, you know, hold his own. Gave us a very good police superintendent. For whatever reason, there's some discord with him and the governor. I don't necessarily, governor, I have my different opinion, and that's not for this show. I don't think the governor has the best interest of African Americans as a state overall. When he was caught on that hot mic saying the least offensive black he was looking for, and they were or offensive or aggressive or whatever he phrased it, and it came up with the name of Jesse White. Are you serious? But and then he got one because you got this young lady that's running for office and she can't say a thing she did under him. He does not let anyone rise up in his administration to show that they're worthy of another position. They're just there as a figurehead pretty much. But going back to the mayor, I'm 64 years old. I got it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was watching politics before I was able to vote.
Yes.
And I saw everything that was going on and, how it really broke open when Harold Washington finally won and the racism and that really brought the cream to the top of how this city was and, what, we were allowed and weren't allowed to do as blacks. We had a few aldermen, Timothy Evans, Sawyer, Allen Streeter, that were in the black community neighborhoods, but they really wasn't doing nothing like, the Burks and the Burt and the Terrace or whatever the guy down and just all the crooks. So fast forward, this is our third African-American mayor. This crook you got on the screen here, I'll go out and campaign against him. Okay. Talking about he's trying, you lived off our tax dollars. This is what I'm saying. You went and you begged Biden for a position, so he gave you ambassador, and you and your wife went and held up in China or somewhere for 4 years on taxpayers' money, and Biden lost. Now you got to come back. Now you want to try to get back in the political arena. This man did more damage to us, way far more than any black mayor that we had, Lightfoot or Johnson. So I figured, why not a second term?
You have a question in the chat room, sister, about your mayor. It says that he cannot answer direct questions. Sounds like someone we know. This is about your mayor. Would you respond to that?
I don't know what direct questions that he did not answer. Again, that's a very broad statement. It could have been a lot of things that he's been asked or questioned on. But okay, I'm saying for me, I can't convince anyone else. I'm just saying I haven't seen. Now, you can't answer a direct question. Sounds like someone else we know. That kind of talking in a something right here. But okay, if that's what you don't like about him, everybody, when it's time to go to that poll, and y'all better weigh it.
Yes,
because there's a movement going on. Starting with, and they got someone that's about to run for county board president. And we were always screaming we didn't have enough minorities. I think minorities, what we do to a fault, we try to much sympathy to the African Americans. Some is warranted, some isn't. And all this stuff came about when they started rewriting the laws down there when George Floyd got killed. Yes. A lot of people didn't know these things that they were doing. That's when it started being called the woke, era. And, it was because of the killings of Breonna Taylor, this and that. They went to Springfield and they wrote some stuff. And and I've also posted this. As African American, as black, when we got out here and marched for Trayvon Martin, and we got out here and marched, because I go to a lot of them. Sometimes I participate. It was a black cause, the George Floyd. I marched several days on that. I won't get involved in the stuff now. We didn't get that much support as far as being black people on the way we were getting killed by law enforcement.
Yes.
And this like that. But now it's this uproar, and you got all these people coming out about the immigration situation. And now I see our faith-based leaders are trying to join it. And I'm like, why? It's not our fight. I'm sorry to say it like that. I know they're saying some things like Supreme Court took off and we saw it yesterday, evident. It cost one person their life. They're being able to stop you just because of your race. Yeah. Where you look. You ain't got to have a reason, because the Supreme Court said that, for immigration rights and for ICE to do their job, and we're going to let the president roll with this. But they're going to extend it far beyond that.
But you know what? You got a question in the chat room. Guy wanted to finish a question about the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. He said, they asked him about adding more police. Would that help with the criminal activity? Talking about your mayor.
Oh, that was the question they asked the mayor?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think so. These people when they doing this stuff in the broad daylight, brazen. You go down on Michigan Avenue, and it's quite a few police down there on the beat that walk. I was down there, I think, the day after, and you start breaking out a window to a Rolex place in the broad daylight. That shows your regard for law enforcement. You don't care. This is what you're gonna do, to get the stuff in the window display. Even though they all got caught. So more police, and where would you put them? And everybody feel they can use more police. But again, I think our police department does do a very good job. I may be biased because I come out of law enforcement. I have a nephew that's a policeman, but I don't know. It's saturated.
You say you think that the police do a good job.
I think they do a very good job. Yeah.
Wow. They're sister. Can I tell you something? I can take you to K-Town, and you know what? K-Town is on the west side of Chicago. You can get down. You can get down to anything you want.
What do you want? A police?
I can get a gun on K-Town. That ain't no problem. But you send.
You can get a gun anywhere. Don't mention guns. I'm just saying
you say they do the police.
Okay, but to serve and protect and to call them, they said they're down about 1,000, officers, but people just don't want that job anymore because over the years, and I don't know if it was always about respect or fear, because back in the 60s and 70s, Black people feared the police because they go outside their head, there was no camera, no nothing, and they basically got away with whatever they wanted to do. Nowadays, you got cameras everywhere, and police say they can't do their job. Okay, and what is your job? I used to always ask them. You're just supposed to arrest them and take them in. It's not for you to beat them or kill them. You let the courts and whatever decide that fate. But I think overall, when you call them, I mean, they don't do half of what they used to do back in the day as far as policing, because everybody got a gun and people jump out and kill you. What you pull me over for? What you pull me over for? It's to take the job, you gotta have a lot of, and be willing, as they do every day, say, I give my life up to go out here and try to make some kind of law and order.
Sister, I'm listening to you. There's a code of silence in Chicago. Okay. Well, if a police officer sees his partner doing something and he will not say anything because he may be ambushed. There are drug houses that have been operating for years. Okay. And there are unsolved murders that have not invested, but you say the police are doing a good job. This is interesting. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, to me, there's some murders that have gone unsolved. Yeah. They cannot, I come out of that environment.
Okay.
But I didn't have a problem with it. If I see you doing something, I'm going to tell you. If you don't stop, then I might have to just say, hey, such and such. You just had a police officer that after 15 or so years just finally got a settlement because she told an officer not to do something that he was doing on the streets. He went back and told the whole department. That's internal. That's just like the hiring practice. We know, and the fire department, we know when it comes down to that, this is a very racist. It's not, they don't hire. When they say minorities, my nephew graduated, there were 4 African Americans, but on the news they broadcast it as the largest minority class to date. But the minorities were Hispanic. But again, they're not perfect. Nobody is. But again, like I said, it's what we got. And I think they do a decent job for, because a lot of people would not take that job because they know their life isn't worth to the next guy that kill them. And
even with the code of silence, they do a great. Okay.
Yeah, I can't do anything about what they do on the inside. Okay. They don't attack that. It's not for me to go in there and say, when I see them on the street and there's something going on, I can't tell you about their politics. I know the politics of it because, like I said, I come out of the Cook County Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
seen stuff on the inside, and I knew that, I'm like, that's not right. But I didn't have it. But as I dealing with the public out here,
Yes.
there are some. Yeah, look at the cop that killed his partner.
Yeah.
And now you got a lot of police officers on their site saying he should have never been on the force. He should have been let go when he was on probationary status.
Wow.
So, okay, they knew that, but they knew the upper brass let this guy go on out there with a gun and be on the streets. He had a lot of complaints on him too. That's 1 out of 2,000, because like I said, they're down quite a bit. So I can't just go deep into all the problems with CPD. Nothing's perfect, but if I call them, they're going to come over here, and what I see them doing on the streets, and I know it's a job that many of us would not take for the fear of the backlash that they get from the public and with the criminal element they have to deal with.
Okay. You got a question in the chat room. You know what?
Okay.
I'm going to go to the chat room, and it says, it's no secret now that Chicago's current mayor is part of a divine night.
What your grandfather was doing. Any message for your grandchildren? Great.
Because I happen to have known someone who was in the NSA.
Okay.
All right? And they don't know what they'll know now. I've been in their building with him. Did you see it?
Yes, sir.
And they
Some people don't know what NSA is.
the National Security Administration. And when I walked up in there and seen nothing like that before in my whole life. Wow. They got video screens. I mean, from here to 35th Street.
Those street cameras, right?
Those are the screens like you watch on a computer.
Right.
All right? They got a room where they listen to conversations all around the country. All right? That's why I can say what I said. But they let me go because he was an important person. And they figured if he was pregnant, it was all right. All right? They made a mistake, but I never forgot that.
Well, wait a minute, all the while.